All right. Today on the podcast, we are going over our top equipment picks on the wish list for 2024.
This is the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast, and we're here to build autonomous athletes and put phenomenal programming into every garage, basement, and spare bedroom out there. I'm Jerred Moon, and I'm with Joe Courtney. We are strength and conditioning coaches who have turned over 20,000 people into garage gym athletes over the last decade. And we're here to reduce the information overload that exists in the health and fitness industry today. We're going to do that by covering relevant science and give actionable takeaways, not only from the data, but from our years of experience. So let's dive in.
All right, Joe, let's dive into it, talking equipment. Before we do, this is kind of wish list. We're going over what we want to add to the garage gym, what we think would be cool. But I have to first go over something I just got that's been on the wish list for years. So it's not technically on my wish list anymore because I have it. And it also cost me nothing. What could cost nothing but be on the wish list for like a decade? Do you have any guesses?
Something you got for free, I'm guessing?
Free, yeah. It's been more like Emily wouldn't let me have one based off of houses we lived in, and now I have one because...
A rope.
Nope.
For rope climbs. Okay, I don't know.
Tractor tire. I got a tractor.
Oh, okay.
Because like every other house we've ever lived in, like, you know, maybe we don't have enough space around the neighbors or like whatever. Have this big tractor tire like sitting in the garage if she needs to park in there, or if it's on the side of the house, it just doesn't look good in certain neighborhoods or whatever. So anyway, I've always wanted a tractor tire for lots of reasons. To be able to flip it, be able to like do sledgehammer strikes on it, just all these kind of things. And then I was talking to my buddy about it, and I was like, hey man, I've always wanted a tractor tire. I mean, I was just talking about it like randomly, not like trying to say anything to him. And he's like, his parents like live on a farm, like, or something like that. And he was like, I'm headed down there in a couple weeks. They have a ton of tractor tires just laying around, and it costs them $200 per tire to recycle them, like the ones that are no good. So that's how you get it for free, because if you can find someone who's legitimately using tractor tires and they have like ones that they want to discard, then you get it for free because it costs them money to recycle. So anyway, he delivered it to my house. And I'm super stoked. I flipped it only a few times. I haven't gotten like a solid workout. I made sure it was a good one. Like at first he was like, do you want the biggest one they have? And I was like, yes, biggest one they have. But then he was like, oh, I don't think that one's going to fit on my trailer. Like, I'm just going to get you one of these smaller ones. I was like, oh man, I'm going to get a small one. And then he drops it off, and no, it's plenty big and it's plenty heavy. Because the biggest one, I don't know what he meant by the biggest one, but this one's already probably like as tall as me, and like this is the smaller one. So the bigger one, I mean, I probably wouldn't have been able to flip it. So I'm really glad that his trailer didn't fit what was available on this ranch or farm or whatever.
So there was no way you could ask them to hold on to it for like 2 more months so that you don't have to move it, because you're gonna have to move it soon.
They dropped it off at my new house, not.
Oh, okay.
Like,
okay,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah. That's why I haven't been able to use it. If it was here
okay.
at my current house, I'd be flipping it every day. So yeah, it's over there. As long as the construction workers don't like throw it away or something, we should be good.
Right? Like, hey, who brought this tire here? We need to get rid of it.
Well, what's crazy too is like I looked at buying one because I couldn't find a place that I could just like get a tire. They're so expensive. Like I would never buy just a brand new big ass tractor tire. So you have to find a place to recycle one.
I was gonna say, if you have some people that want to buy a tire, and then you have other people that need to pay to get rid of a tire, like they need to just meet up. There just needs to be a network for that.
A new business model right there. You can charge $5 just to link these people up.
Yeah,
and then you get your tires. Because I started looking on Craigslist, and some people know like fitness people want these tires, so they're still trying to charge like $500 for these used tires with like nails in them and like all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, I know it costs you money to recycle this. You're not gonna bank from some guy who wants to flip it. So now everyone knows the secret out there. Go find somebody who needs to get rid of some tires. They just have like a minefield of them on this property. So, all right. Well, let's dive into wish list. I'm actually going to let you go first because you have a lot more on your wish list than me. Not that I don't want a lot of things, but I it's limited. It's limited because I really like to be super minimal. But
Yeah.
let's start with you, man. What's the first thing on your wish list for this year?
So 100%, this is something that I almost got at the end of 2023. And then I thought about, okay, once we get here, after we move, I will get it and have it sent here. And now I'm wondering if I'll get it this year or later. I don't know. But that's a Concept 2 bike erg. I've wanted one. I love it. I had a spin bike for a while. It was great to have in the house, in the office for either crappy weather days or just doing a bike. It's nice to have that for like a zone 2 cool down. Like we have the Airdyne, and Airdynes can be used for a cooldown. Rowers, to me, you can't cool down on a rower. So
Well, you just like start rowing too fast every time you get on one, or what?
right, like I feel like on a rower, it messes with you because when I'm on a rower, I know the pace that I row at. I know it's between 150 to 2 minutes. If I'm going for like comfortable pace, I can do like at like 205, but like I'm still gonna be watching the monitor. I'm not gonna be watching my heart rate for like a cooldown.
Right.
So yeah. So like the Airdyne is fine, but like when I cool down, I kind of just want to relax into the cool down. Like I want to have my heart rate elevated, but I don't want to do anything with my arms.
Yeah.
So the bike is great to have, and it's just awesome to use. But because the weather here is so good for running year round, I could do zone 2 stuff anytime if I really need to. We'll see, but I know it is 100% at the top of the list. It's going to happen, whether it's this year, whether it's next year.
Yeah, I think I have a Concept 2 bike erg, and I will say I love it. It's probably my favorite piece of conditioning equipment that I have. Because if people haven't heard or like been listening to the podcast, I kind of have started to like not like running as much. It's just I'm running too much, and I don't want to run anymore. And so, yeah, the bike has been a welcome relief to like still getting in conditioning if I can't run or like whatever. So love the bike.
And like Dallas temperature, I always have it linked in my phone. Dallas temperature is always crazy. It's always going way up and down, except for like peak summer when it's just like hot as hell. But every other time of the year, it seems like every 3 days there's like a dip or a peak, and like so that kind of variable. I feel like having something indoor is good.
Yeah, I mean it's March now, but in February it literally shot up to the 90s. But would also like within the same week be the high could be like 36. So it's just a really strange place in the springtime. Summer's just hot. You know what you're getting. Like I basically could delete the weather app come like May and just be like and not download it again until maybe October, November. It's hot.
It's hot.
Like, what's happening today? Well, it's not going to rain. 0% chance, and it will be hot. What else do you want to know? There could be a cloud in the sky. All right, my turn.
Yeah.
Here's one that I want. I want one of those. I don't have a specific brand. There's like Rogue has some, I think Titan has some, but one of those sleds with like the mechanical resistance. You know, talking about they have like the wheels. They have the wheels, but then you can crank up the resistance. I really, really, really want those because I bought some of those very inexpensive sleds. What are they? They were honestly like $70. I think I bought them like Black Friday or something.
They only drag one way, or is it?
Yeah.
It's just a drag. It's not a push, right?
It's not a push. Yeah, they're just like you can drag or you can pull like backwards or whatever, but it's all dragging. And a couple of things like I don't care if it's your driveway, if it's a street or whatever, it's annoying and it's loud, you know? Even if you buy like the bumpers that can go on those, like it's just not the best thing for having neighbors anywhere. So anyway, not in love with those. I would love to get some of that pushing ability, being able to push or pull. And yeah, I've always wanted one. I think they're a little crazy expensive for what they do. I mean, you can't do a lot with it. And like some of these, I'm looking on Rogue's site right now, like looks like a lower one is $800. Then they quickly go up to $2,500. Like $1,599 is another one. So anyway, it's not an inexpensive piece of equipment for what it does, right? Like it doesn't do a ton. But I used to push sleds all the time in the military because we'd always have like a field and they'd have sleds. And I always loved pushing sleds. Great way to make people throw up who are like new
Hmm.
to the fitness stuff. So anyway, that's definitely high on my list. Want to get that.
Yeah, I was using one when we were in Monterey at the gym there, and I could technically get one in here to use in the basement. We measured it out, and it's like 70 feet, 80 feet, my
Wow.
basement.
That's long, dude.
Um, and I mean, if you take away, a little bit on the ends because of stuff there, it's where you're working with 60, 65 feet. It's still pretty good. But again, like that same metal scratching, I would get one that I can push both ways and pull, so you don't have to turn it around. But those tire ones do seem the best for long term because, like, no matter where you are, you can put it on the surface and
Yeah,
go
and they
again.
have handles on both sides, so you don't have to turn anything around. You just like walk to the other side of it and start pushing it the other direction.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure Landon would love to ride on it and try and push it as well. He's
yeah,
just obsessed with pushing stuff.
there you go. Now you have justification. It's basically necessary to be able to entertain your child.
Yeah, necessary. Um,
Necessary.
so
All right.
I
Yeah, number two
now
for
you
you.
said wish list for 2024. So you mean like most likely to get this year, or like just wish list in general for
Well, let's
ever?
just say your triaged list. So like maybe you're like even the erg, you're like, I'm probably gonna get it this year, I might get it next year. So let's say it's just next on your list. So erg is happening next for sure, bike erg. The next thing you'd buy after that, what would it be?
Um, it's probably just small stuff. Like I almost got on and got an easy bar and a trap bar, just
Yeah.
having those extra little bars. Easy bar, you can get those super cheap. Trap bar is just something fun to play with. I would like to get into deadlifting a little bit more. It's just taking some strain off the lower back. Liz is getting more into lifting as well. Down here, speaking of having the 60 feet, I could pick it up and do weighted carries down and back with it. I could do some explosive stuff. You're pretty much just doing deadlifts or weighted carries. It's very very limited, but still, it was just one of those fun things to have those two other extra bars, and they're not going to take up a lot of space. That's another thing. Like since we're over here, I don't want something that's going to take up either a ton of space for moving, even though they're going to move it out. I technically have all of the room for anything I could possibly want. It's just when we go back, it's not going to be like this. So I need to like stay within the confines of what we might have back home. Like when we fit the whole gym in half of the garage, so one carport,
Yeah.
and our stuff fit perfectly. So like, if not, I would say a GHD, but GHD is 100% a space thing, or else it would have already happened. So I can't get something like that until we go somewhere else and I see what space we're working with. So little stuff like that. Easy bar, trap bar, or even like a matching kettlebell for like weighted carries is sort of the things on my list to just add to what we already have, but nothing crazy, nothing major. I do have one main thing that's gonna be on the top of the list when we move back, though.
Well, let's hear that one.
Well, why don't I just tease that and you can go to your
Oh,
second?
okay. Well, have you seen that? I think we talked about it in not on the podcast. That freak athlete thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's
Oh, the glute or
yeah, I
it's like
have
a
it pulled up now.
GHD
It's like
and
it's a Nordic bench for Nordic curls, Nordic
that's
hamstring
it. Yeah.
curls. It can do back extension. It can do GHD and reverse hyper, which I have a lot of problems with them calling it a reverse hyper because you cannot do a reverse hyper on this. Sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't even have said that. But everything else is cool. It can do decline sit up, hip thrusts, and it has vertical storage, which is not really a thing. But anyway, that thing's pretty legit because it's what is it? It's listed on their website right now for $699. And if I were to do GHD at Rogue, which you don't have to buy everything from Rogue, it ranges from 645 to 1600, depending on which one you want. And the Rogue one will only do one thing, right? It'll only be a GHD, but this Freak Athlete one, which again, we have no association with any of these companies. I don't even know if the Freak Athlete thing is a good, solid piece of equipment. Rogue, most of the time, the reason I mention them is because I do have a lot of their equipment and it is very quality. I don't have this freak athlete thing. But for the price and like what it can do, like a GHD is a GHD. You talk about space, like this thing does have vertical storage and yeah, can do the GHD function. Like that's one I'm even looking at if I want to go down the GHD route.
I mean, that needs to be top of your list considering the house that you're going into because
Yeah.
you're going to have the space.
Yeah, I'll have the space. I need like, which we'll do a YouTube video when it's done, like exploring it. I don't want to spoil it, but I will have a pretty sweet garage gym setup. So we'll tease that out for months from now. But yeah, second on my list is not actually a GHD, even though that'd probably be like third on my list because I've always wanted one. It's just going to be something you already have, which is going to be an Airdyne. I want an Airdyne back in my life. I gave mine away to a friend during COVID, like a long time ago, and I've missed it. I don't know why, but what I'm really looking like you'll notice like the two things that I'm looking for are conditioning pieces of equipment. I already have a lot of conditioning equipment, but I do think after I run this ultra marathon, I'm significantly going to decrease run volume. Like I might run a little bit, but I've been in great shape most of my life over the last 15, 20 years with like running minimally. And I think I want to go back to that being my life and getting all my conditioning in other ways. Like I can still do zone 2. I can still do all these things, which a lot of that I'm going to tease out. I'm going to program out, I mean, in the next couple of cycles so people can see how I will do it. But ultimately, I want all these different conditioning pieces of equipment so I can run less and do other types of conditioning, other forms. So like sled pushes or Airdyne. So that's one that I'm missing right now. Love the Airdyne.
Yeah, any kind of fan bike, the amount of intensity and pain that you can get with an Airdyne is like hard to match, especially when you factor in like safety wise and warm up. Like I could get on there, do like 1 minute warm up, and then sprint as fast as I can and be completely fine. But like running to get that intensity, I need to warm up 5-10 minutes so I don't
Yeah,
blow a hamstring.
100%. And like, it's probably the only, aside from running, like, yeah, you could do, if you wanted to do 15-second intervals, I guess you could run hundreds, right? You could sprint hundreds as fast as you
Yeah,
can. But like you said, that's like the older you get and the more sedentary your job is, which, we both sit quite a bit, like the greater risk of, yeah, just blowing a hamstring, pulling something, getting hurt. But if you want to go 15 seconds all out on an Airdyne, the only real risk there is like you might throw up. Like
yeah,
that's the only real risk. You're not getting injured
a good
on an
chance.
Airdyne. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I like it too, because even with all the ergs, like I have every erg, right? I have a ski erg, I have a bike erg, I have the rower. If we're talking about those lower time domains, like sub like 20 seconds and below, which I granted that's not like a place that a lot of people like want to do their conditioning, but none of those even really do it to like for those shorter duration things. Like of those three, I would say the ski erg you could make maybe the worst in 20 seconds, but rower, I don't know, like it's hard to like get going. Like you don't have as much of a metabolic response in 20 seconds on a rower. Even if you're going all out, it takes more like 45 seconds to 60 seconds on a rower. The biker, if you were to like pump up the resistance, like on the erg itself, like up to whatever, like a 6 or 7, and then try and pedal, it's very similar to an Airdyne, but since it doesn't have that arm motion, it's still not quite as bad. It's just like
yeah.
your legs just start burning. You can't cycle as fast. But yeah. So anyway, the Airdyne has a very like small purpose, but it's a big one, and I think I'm looking forward to getting that again, and I can start doing conditioning me to the grave again, which I haven't been able to do in a while.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Once I got mine, I did do it a couple of times. Yeah, for those, I like my Fridge Raptor. I think it's really good. They have since raised their price to be more expensive than the Echo, so I think
Ooh.
it's a coin flip. You might as well go with the Echo.
Oh yeah,
But
go an Echo if that's the
having
case.
having the turf tires and the fan guard on this to me is a pretty big deal. It makes a good bit of difference
I
because you can move
forgot
it out
about
of your
that. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, because you can move it out of your garage with on the turf tires because they just come standard. The Rogue One, you have to buy them. And the fan guard, surprisingly, I love having the fan guard because when you go to warm up, I don't want a cold breeze on me before I'm even warming up. Like,
Right.
just
It depends on like the
lazy.
time of the year, right? Like, if it's
In
hot, do
summer, yeah,
you
it's
enjoy it?
good.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't. Well, we're gonna find out this summer because the basement here it's humid and muggy and down in the basement, and I have a feeling it's gonna get pretty warm down here in the basement.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like all the Rogue Echo Bike version 3 accessories. I can get an Echo Bike wind guard, an Echo Bike phone holder, an Echo Bike bottle cage, Echo Bike turf and tire and handle kit. They really upsell you there on all the all the other
Yeah,
things. Like, are you sure you don't need the water
literally all of
bottle?
those. Literally all of those things come with the thing, and even the water bottle, which I installed, but I've never used it because I'm
So
not on it enough to need a water bottle. Like,
so that's an extra 90, 100, 130, basically $140 if you get all of the things. So
well, there's your price difference.
yeah, 845 is the base price right now plus 140. So
I will say, I
what's the
think
new
they
thing cost?
just
What's yours cost?
I don't know, I don't remember. I paid 800 for mine. It was when pretty recently when they came out with it, and then I think they raised it to 9 something. Um, but I think the Echo they just updated their new monitors. They just got new monitors for them.
Ooh,
Um,
I have to
I,
check
I
all those
think I'm
out.
pretty sure I've seen when I was at our previous gym, I saw some new monitor on there. I don't know how much better it is, but it's probably similar to like the when Concept did theirs.
Yeah. I think and for timeline for me, I probably will get these things this year, but maybe I might try and wait for Black Friday when I can get those things like free shipping or like whatever because I don't need them, right? Like I can get everything done without it. I have a decent setup now, but I might try and snag something during one of their Matt Black Friday deals or whatever.
Oh, the French. Well, maybe it's just a Europe thing. I can't even find the Raptor. Maybe it's because of I'm in Europe.
That we won't ship to you.
Yeah, they
You
already
gotta you
know
got
it.
a VPN and you gotta like act like you're in the US.
Well, I was just gonna look up the price for you guys, but I guess I can't. Oh well.
I'll look it up. What's it called? The
The Fringe Raptor.
Fringe Raptor.
Yeah, I actually have a review on it too that I did full review on our um, uh, YouTube channel. So that I gave my it was 1 year after I got it. The only issue that I ran into was the monitor, but their customer support was like really responsive and sent me a new monitor with like no big deal, which is nice.
So their Raptor Air bike is $949, and it says it. You said it came with all of those things, and so if
Yep.
you buy all the upgrades on the Rogue one, it's $985. So I guess that's why they're pricing where they're at.
There you go.
And
And
it
then
comes with a
shipping
fan guard.
whatever.
You said I don't see that. Oh no,
Yep.
removable wind guard. Yep, there it is.
I
Cool.
think.
Well, I don't have any more wish list items, man. Do you have one more you want to throw in?
Yeah, my main one. So the big one that's going to come after we move back to the States is going to be a new power rack. That's like the next
Yeah.
big purchase. I got ours. It's a Titan, I think T3 power rack or something like that at the very end of 2017. So we're talking 6 years that it's lasted over through a couple of different PCS moves. When we first had it, it was outside the entire time. And it's still doing great. I mean, I still can squat or feel comfortable squatting in the 300s with it. It's it's been great. When we first use it, we would each be on opposite sides of the rack and use it at the same time. Now I don't do that. I only use it on the inside, or well, I use it on the outside because of presses. It's a little short, but I just want something a bit bigger, more robust, something that I can get better attachments to. I want to get just a better rack for sturdiness for one, maybe one that I can hang the plates on, get some band attachments, maybe even speaking of the GHD, I think it'd be cool to either get I don't know if I would want a GHD attachment, but like a Nordic attachment or other things like that. And I know Rogue and I think Rep is also a big one now with their power racks that I would look into. So and different pull-up bars. So for sure, a new power rack. I'll sell this one for a couple hundred and upgrade that. And I mean, if this one lasted 6-7 years, it's going to last us 8 years technically. Once we get back, then that'll be another big time purchase. So I'm fine paying up for it because I think this was like 800 or 900. So we're talking $100 a year.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I've never actually owned a legitimate power rack. Never once.
I just prefer it versus the ones. I know you have the one that just has like the arms that come out, but I prefer being boxed in. I think it's a bit more secure. You also get 2 pull-up bars out of it. I get a fat one and a regular one, or I have the ring. You can decide, okay, I can hang the rings on this one or the pulley system on this one, or whatever you want really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I want one now, but I've never actually. It's always been a space thing. Like I did have that ridiculous contraption in my backyard like years ago. That like the
Yeah.
Castro rig, basically. That was the closest thing I ever had to a power rack. But ever since then, it's always been a space thing. I've always had the Rogue yoke that acted as my power rack, which I still have like collapsed up in storage, and then I have the Rogue, like the one that connects to the wall and also collapses down for space saving. So who knows? Maybe I'll get like a legit power rack at some point. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have, because at least if you don't want to sacrifice the space for a GHD, an attachment for that, and to me it just makes sense to have a GHD. If you can have one that does a regular GHD stuff, if you just put it all the way to the floor, then it's basically a Nordic. So 2 for 1 on that. I already have a landmine thing that you put in a plate, but landmine attachment for your racks. Just whatever. I don't care about the static dip things, but I think it might be good for Liz. I always prefer ring dips. If you always do ring dips, then you're just going to be way better at dips no matter what. But just more fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, that does it for our wish list for this year. We'll update you as we get these things and let you know how they're doing, and then if our wish list change. Also, just quick update for all the athletes. New cycle coming right around the corner, only a few weeks away. So I will be coming on the podcast talking about
1 week as far as publishing.
1 week after
April
this publishes.
1st.
Yeah.
April 1st.
Okay, so we're like a week away. So that means we're a week away from you hearing all about the new cycles on the podcast. So anyway, I'll be coming on the podcast talking about what I'm really excited about, especially on the hard to kill track, which is what I'm programming for this next wave. I've been talking about it kind of in pieces on a couple different episodes. So I will fill everybody in on what we're doing when that's officially starting, see if you want to be a part of it. And hey, maybe you don't. But if you don't want to be part of it, cool. We have a whole bunch of other tracks that you can be a part of here at Garage Gym Athlete. And if you do want to join, get started now, maybe come into Fit Week. You can go ahead and do that. Go to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for a free trial. You'll be really fresh and ready to go before the new cycle starts. And for all of our athletes who will have the FOMO between which track they should be joining, we appreciate you for sticking around and, staying consistent. That's it for this one. Remember, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you.